strong. I'm assuming if there are NDAs that Meghan Markle would wish these to be removed immediately so that the PAs who left the palace after this alleged bullying are able to have their say freely and without fear of any consequence. So this is a big story.
Well,
it puts a very different gloss on what may be coming on Sunday, when clearly from the trailers we're going to see 2 hours of victimhood and how awful Meghan Markle was treated by everybody here. It would appear, according to this very damaging report on the front page of the Times, that it may be the other way round.
Well, it's very clear, isn't it, that, as you said in your opening statement, that if you are going to launch an attack and make a lot of criticisms, then whoever is at the other end of that is going to fight back. And this is clearly a fight back by royal aides.
But it's a fight back
they want
very
to lay out
specifically
their
sourced.
side of the story.
Very specifically sourced. And it makes pretty disturbing reading, I have to say. So big questions for Meghan Markle today. And I think just simply dismissing them doesn't sit very easily with her. You must always listen to victims.
Well, and the trouble is that these big questions are not going to be answered in that interview because the interview has already been recorded.
But these were allegations, of course, were made by the media that Meghan and Harry love to hate. And they say the media picked on them with their constant lies. But, of course, these stories were denied at the time by them, and we were told they were lies. But they're not, are they? Because their own communications chief, who would have been involved in issuing statements about newspaper coverage, it's come from him. It's actually emails from him. And it was referred up to Human Resources at Buckingham Palace, but no action was taken. And the suggestion in the Times is it was just covered up to avoid any embarrassment, as was another story the Times has published today, that Meghan Markle wore chandelier earrings, very glittering diamond chandelier earrings, worth, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, millions maybe, because we now discover that although she said at the time they were borrowed and didn't give any details, it turned out they were actually gifted to her by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, who we discussed yesterday because he's been responsible for the cold-blooded murder, execution of a Washington Post journalist who tried to criticise the regime in Saudi Arabia.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Also, of course, bin Salman has been responsible for the war in Yemen and for the dreadful famine and ruin that country is now suffering. How does that sit, Meghan Markle? You wearing chandeliers gifted to you by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. How does that sit with your constant claims that you stand for women's rights, given how Saudi Arabia treats women? And she didn't wear them just once, she wore them twice. According to the Times, Harry was then informed about all this and was shocked. Was he? What did he do about it? Didn't he ask where she got the earrings from? They were a gift from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia for their wedding.
The Times reports Meghan's lawyers say every relevant staff member knew who the earrings were from and that she was unaware of rumours at the time that the prince was involved in the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
Except she wore them 3 weeks afterwards, and as the Times says, before the tour, the Khashoggi murder was an international news story. 4 days before the start of the tour, the Times reported that world leaders had rounded on the Crown Prince as suspicions grew he had ordered the killing. 3 days before the dinner where she wore these earrings, the Saudi Arabia admitted that its officials were responsible for Khashoggi's death. So she doesn't read the news, as she says, doesn't read the papers, doesn't read the news. Maybe she did dismiss this international global news story. It does seem surprising, though, doesn't it, that she would miss such a huge news story that was on every bulletin, every newspaper, every website, and would then 3 days later calmly wear gifted diamond chandeliers from this killer, Mohammed bin Salman, a man who executes journalists because of they're trying to exercise their right to free speech. So these are serious allegations in the Times today. They need a proper response.
Serious.
Are we going to get Oprah Winfrey questioning the couple? Well, they've already done the interview, but of course the allegations of bullying were out there in the tabloid press.
And Oprah has said, to be fair, Oprah has said that nothing is off limits.
Right,
so perhaps
will Oprah actually push them, or will she actually promote the narrative that Meghan Markle was the victim? because this is serious stuff. Where are these PAs who got bullied out of the palace? What happened to them? And the third person that apparently was bullied, all young women, all the women that yesterday in this gut-wrenching load of old guff on the Archewell Foundation website of all our tips for how to treat women on Monday, International Women's Day. How does that look now? Sorry, but how does that look now?
Well,
and for everyone who says, you know, poor Meghan, she's the victim. She's always being bullied by the mean British press. Well, the British press did this story in a very diluted version at the time, but they were told that actually it was all wrong, which is Harry and Meghan's traditional route. Deny, deny, deny.
Well,
But
what
you
is
can't-
clear
what you can't
is
deny
that
is the
Palisades are not going to take this lying down.
Well,
Whatever's happened
you can't...
is now being aired.
Are they going to accuse their own communications chief at the time of being a liar? What's very interesting about this is that Jason Carver, he's now the senior advisor to William and Kate. And this may explain, of course, what's been going on here behind the scenes about the rift between the two brothers. There is a suggestion in the Times that Duchess of Cambridge was very upset about the way people were being treated, that it wasn't being taken seriously enough, that there was bullying in the workplace towards younger female aides, and that this went right to the top and got suppressed and wasn't dealt with. Serious allegations.
Yeah. And, well, we're going to talk to a number of people about that this morning, including the fiancé of Jamal Khashoggi, because yesterday you raised the issue of Saudi Arabia and the fact that they are our biggest arms export partner, and yet the Crown Prince is now found to have signed off this operation to kill the Saudi journalist.
I mean, it's horrific. This Washington Post journalist was literally severed to pieces with saws by an execution gang sent by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, a man we do billions of pounds worth of business with in trade. And we do it on arms, which then get used in places like the Yemen to terrorise the Yemeni people.
Where 4 million children are starving.
Well, there's a terrible famine, you know, and the last time we had this awful famine in Ethiopia, the world got together to help. What's been Britain's reaction to the famine in the Yemen right now? To cut our aid to that country in half.
These are pictures of Jamal
Whilst continuing to
going
make
into
billions from selling arms to Saudi Arabia. So we make billions as a country selling these arms to Saudi Arabia, led by that Crown Prince, and he uses those arms to wage terror on the people of the Yemen and to create this famine, which is killing so many young kids in particular. And we've just abrogated all moral duty on this, completely. We've just cut our aid in half. So a lot of questions this morning.
Yes, right. A lot of news this morning, and a lot of it is quite, well, it's very serious. So let's just, before we discuss the rest of that, let's just talk about Dolly Parton and her vaccine initiative, because she's been joking about receiving her shot. Now, it's significant, not just because it's Dolly Parton, and obviously she has huge amount of influence over whether people take the vaccine or not. So when she goes out and says, take it, all it does is sting a little bit. It's going to have a massive impact. But also because she has been key in helping fund the Moderna
She gave $1 million, didn't she? Yeah.
Exactly. She gave $1 million to Vanderbilt University to help find a cure or a vaccine for the coronavirus. And some of that money was used to help develop the Moderna vaccine. And of course, when Dolly does something significant, she turns it into a song.
Hey, it's me.